And we are live. It is the Bad for Bedard sweepstakes. I will obviously narrate this even though we're waiting for people to come in, because this will be on replay and you get to watch my heart break in real time or in replay. Either or. So what we're going to go through in the lead-in is where might be good destinations, obviously, for Bedard as the prize. And also where probably is not a good destination for Bedard. As people come in, please let me know where you would like the first pick to go, where you would like the second pick to go for that matter. It's obviously a very fluid situation, but a reminder, and I'll bring the rules up a little bit as we get closer. But as we get closer to the draft, the first and second picks are the only ones that are actually drawn in the lottery. Everything else is where you were. So there's only going to be two picks actually drawn. So I'll bring the rules up as we get a bit closer. I've got them all written down for everyone. So if you're a newbie that doesn't know how the draft lottery works, I've got them all written down for you. We will make it very easy to work out what's going to happen today. The draft is actually probably taking place close to now, because it happens in a back room with a witness from every club. And Gary Bettman very awkwardly reading off a piece of paper and filming it. It feels, whenever you watch the draw video afterwards, it feels like a hostage is being taken. Which, if Connor Bedard ends up in the wrong spot, it is very much like a hostage being taken. But so the draft will happen. Then they'll do the cards. Then they come out, put a big show on, and do the drastic. I hope they have club representatives or general managers sitting, waiting. Again, my favorite year of the draft. I hope the Habs don't win the lottery. We can't have that happen. That can't be allowed. There are destinations where I would be fine with Connor Bedard going. Obviously, I have a horse in this race, but Bedard to the Habs would be not great. Not great. I think for the league, it's not great, to be honest with you. I think that Canada's actually had a really good run of getting the great picks. I think a US team probably needs to get a shot at this. I genuinely think that you need a US team to get a shot. I mean, the funny destination is Arizona. Let's face it. The funny destination is Arizona. And they have the really funny part about this. And we'll go through the rules in a second because we're getting closer. But the really funny part about this is the way it's drawn. Arizona could get 1 and 2. That would be hilarious. If Arizona got 1 and 2, that would be absolutely hilarious. And if you think that when Edmonton was winning all of those lotteries, everyone thought it was rigged, or when Toronto got the Matthews one, everyone thought it was rigged, wait until Arizona gets 1 and 2 and everybody goes, well, Bettman rigged that one to save his franchise. So I think for maximum chaos, I think an Arizona 1-2 would be hilarious, personally. And Arizona is the only team with the chance to get 1-2. They're the only team in this with 2. Remember, Habs fans were gloating when Florida were not playing very well. Habs fans were gloating that they had 2 first-round picks that could be 1 and 2. Obviously, Leafs fans are now really desperate that would have happened because, Florida's now a bit good. But the only team with 2 bites at a first and second is Arizona. That's it. Obviously, Anaheim are the favorites. Obviously. They've got the best odds. Now, we might go through the rules. So here are the rules, because the lottery is different to the way it's worked previously. The draw this year is for first and second only. So it was for the top three. It's for first and second only. The first draw is for the first overall pick. The second draw is the second overall pick. There are 1,000 numbers, combinations. So there's 4 balls drawn out. There's 1,000 combinations. Well, there's 1,001, and if the 1,001st comes out, they redraw. But there are 1,000 combinations, and every team has a prorated, depending on where they finished, number of those combinations. So Anaheim has the highest percentage, and so forth, down to Calgary, which has a 3% chance. Now, the difference in the way they're doing the draft lottery now is that you can only jump up 10 spots. So when the draft lottery first happened, you could be 16 or 15 at that point in time, and you could jump up and get the first overall pick. Now it doesn't work like that. You can only move a maximum of 10. So you can only move a maximum of 10 spots. So, for example, Calgary are not here for Bedard. They're not a chance of getting Bedard. Nobody up to Vancouver. Vancouver is the first team that could actually get the first overall pick. So Vancouver's got a small chance, but they do have a chance for Bedard. 16 to 12 can jump up 10 spots. So say Calgary wins the lottery. By some minor miracle, Calgary wins the lottery. Calgary does not get Bedard. Calgary goes up 10 spots. That also means that the first overall pick goes to Anaheim. So if Calgary wins, if Pittsburgh wins, if any of those, if Calgary, Nashville, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, or Arizona at number 12 win, they jump 10 spots and Anaheim automatically wins the lottery. Now, if Arizona wins it at 12, that's also second, so we're done. That's the lottery. There's one draw. But after that, so the first draw is for that, then the second draw is for second. You can only jump 10 spots and teams can only fall 2 spots. So that's why in the description I put up, come and watch San Jose drop from 4th to 6th. So San Jose, to give you an idea of how the quirk works now, San Jose could be drafting, I'll use them as the example because obviously, San Jose could be drafting 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, or 6th. Can't draft 3rd. There is no situation where San Jose can get the 3rd overall pick. If you're Anaheim, the furthest you can drop back is 3rd. So the furthest Anaheim slide is to the 3rd overall pick. So it's not the situation we've had previously where a team could be in the top 3 at the start of the day, like could be 1st, and could slide to 4th. That can't happen. So Anaheim are guaranteed a top 3, which is good. Look, it's designed to try to stop, because as Gary Bettman has told us many times, teams do not tank. There are no tanking teams. And as a San Jose fan, I can confirm we did not tank. We were accidentally bad, apparently, according to people in the group. We were accidentally bad. Although Columbus were accidentally bad. That's the interesting part of this, is that Columbus thought they were going to be really good this year. They did not expect to be here. So just while we're waiting, these are the top 5 projected. Now, number 1 and number 2 are pretty much locked. 3 and 4 and 5, and even to number 6 are sort of interchangeable. 3 and 4 are interchangeable, and 5 and 6. So Zach Benson is an honorable mention, left winger, who plays in the WHL for Winnipeg, is 6th on the last lot of rankings that I checked out. But you've got Bedard, obviously. Yes, the draft starts in a minute, basically. Bedard is 1st. Fantilli is likely to be 2nd, again, center. Then Michkov and Carlson are sort of 3-4. The dispute over that has been if there's going to be issues with Michkov being in the KHL coming over. Will he come over? What happens there? So some teams are a bit wary about that. It also depends on what you need. If you need to draft a center, then you're probably taking Leo Carlson. If you don't necessarily need a center and you want a winger, then Michkov's the pick. And then 5th is Will Smith from the US development program, and 6th probably is Zach Benson, who's a winger. Smith gets 5th at the moment on most boards because he's a center as opposed to a winger. The good news is that the top 5 to 6 in this draft are good. So you've got a really strong sort of top bunch, which is really handy, especially if you're a team that's, up here trying to get a pick. Hello, San Jose. How are you? Now, obviously, I'm going to have a dog in this fight. Obviously, I've got the San Jose stuff on. I'm very much here for a San Jose draft lottery win. I would like us to have a draft lottery win. Will we have a draft lottery win? Who knows? Probably not. But we will see. In terms of players being drafted, it's a good draft. The top end is a good draft. You're getting a situation where you're not going to get anyone trading, put it that way. I don't think anyone's trading out of any of the first picks. There have been previous drafts where we've seen teams trying to give the first overall pick away because there's no one worth it. Yeah, whoever wins first is not trading that pick. Like, everyone's quite happy with what they get. So I don't think, put it this way, there's no Yakupov situation going on here. Connor Bedard is a generational style talent. And I know there are some people trying to do the hipster. Big prediction, it won't be. No, he will be. So I'll put the rules back up again because we've got more people coming in. So the rules, as it says there, again, the draw is first and second only. You can only jump 10 spots, and you can only fall a maximum of 2. If a team over 12 wins, they just go 10 spots, and Anaheim automatically wins the draft lottery. It would be hilarious if you were a Calgary, for example, and you won. It would be hilarious. You finally win a lottery. So we are all go. It is happening. The draft lottery show is about to take place, which means, look, this is Bill Daly's time to shine. Can we just give a moment for Bill Daly? It's the most that we see Bill Daly in a year, unless obviously Gary Bettman gets COVID and he has to present the cup. But it's the most that we're going to get to see Bill Daly. They let him out of his little cave to come out and hold up cards. He becomes the greatest game show hostess the world has ever seen. So let me know in the chat while we're talking. Let me know while we're waiting. Who do you think is the best case scenario for Bedard, and who do you think is a worst case scenario for Bedard? Let us know in the chat. What is the best case scenario? What is a worst case scenario? And it can be from purely personal reasons that you hate the team, or it can be from a developmental standpoint or marketing, whatever you think. But what is the best case scenario for Bedard, and what is the worst case scenario for Bedard? For those of us that have been involved in being, bad for Bedard, this is a big morning. Do I anticipate it's going to go well? No. I also like it because we're about to get into a phase where they usually try to make you guess if the first pick is going to be the first pick, and they try to, well, maybe Bedard not, because no. Like, there's no way you can do this. Like, if you remember the Matthews Line one, there was a big, but Line maybe. Matthews was always that pick. Like, it's a thing. I think that for me personally, I've done the draft simulator a million times. I'm a little bit worried that I kept getting Washington. Washington kept winning it, so I'm terrified of that prospect. Obviously, as a San Jose Sharks fan, I don't want Anaheim to win because they're in our division, and I don't want to see Bedard that consistently. But I'm really interested to see. Look, I think Detroit. If Detroit got him, they jump immediately into contention. Um, I don't. I do not want to see Montreal. The Cards are on their way to the studio. The Cards are on their way to the studio. Oh, they didn't make them come in person. I'm so disappointed. Everyone's on Zoom. Everyone's on Zoom. And they're all varying levels. If you don't know if you saw that, but they're all in varying levels of dressed up. Some of them are in full suits. Mike Greer is in a polo shirt because he's never done this before. I'm impressed that I'm impressed that Vancouver turned up. I think Vancouver would be a bit of a nightmare because it would bail them out of a hole that I don't think they deserve to be bailed out of. Like, I mean, to be fair, that's kind of what happened with McDavid. Like, my view on McDavid is that McDavid bailed Edmonton out of a hole that they had built, and they were digging down. And yeah, McDavid dug them out of a hole instantly. But that's the nature of it. If you're lucky enough to get the ping pong balls, you get the ping pong balls. So I think Detroit would take the greatest leap forward with a win. It keeps Washington relevant for a little bit longer and gives Ovechkin a more of a run at the record. I don't want it to be that. I don't want it to be the Habs. I really don't want it to be Chicago. I genuinely don't want it to be Chicago. There are a number of reasons, not all of them on ice. I don't like the idea that a lottery could bail Chicago out of a mess that they should probably sit in for a little bit longer. The other interesting part is whoever wins the lottery, they will tell you that it won't change their strategy for the off season and free agency. That's a lie. Whoever lands Bedard is going to 100% going to change their off season planning because you can't get him and then go, and we'll just leave him around the same old schmucks that we had here previously that got us the first overall pick. I'll use San Jose as the example. Mike Greer will tell you that if they get Connor Bedard, it will not change what San Jose was planning on doing. Lies. Absolute lies. If they get Bedard, they change everything about their offseason. For a start, there is no conversation about Erik Karlsson going anywhere if they get Bedard. I think I think they make massive changes to what they were planning on doing. I think there's a genuine see what you could get for Erik Karlsson coming up for the Sharks in the offseason. They'd like to keep him, but they're going to see. But I think if Bedard is the pick, or even Fantilli, it's likely to happen. Here we go. It is time. Let's see who drives. Let's see who jumps. I don't want to see anyone jump. I don't want to see anyone jump because a jump would be bad. Have we ever seen, by the way, if you're watching the coverage as well, have we ever seen this many montages? Like, this is very much, you got to have a montage, a sports training montage. Because we're once again, and here comes the draft lottery, another montage of good players. Like, just do it. This is going to be intense. So the draft lottery order, for those who are wondering, is down the bottom of the screen. Here we go. I do like that they've shown the fans gathering in Anaheim, Columbus, and Chicago, and I look forward to it if none of those teams get him. Now we're going to talk about how good Connor Bedard is. We all know how good Connor Bedard is. Oh dear. I wonder if we're going to get a. Oh, Connor Bedard looks terrified. Connor Bedard looks absolutely terrified right now. Like, it also looks like they've just got him set up in a hallway. Like he's just found a hallway in his house with a pretty painting behind him. Just, I think everyone's also learnt from Connor McDavid, because if you remember the McDavid moment when the Oilers came out and that McDavid look on his face was, we now know is just how Connor McDavid looks at people in general, which is sternly and angrily. But at the time, it wasn't a good look. Okay, this will be. We get it. We get it. He's going to be first. You idolize Sidney Crosby. Can we just get to the cards, please? Everyone commenting, by the way, that when they asked Bedard about something about himself that wasn't hockey related, he said that he plays roller hockey. So again, he's got that first overall pick ability of, I'm just going to talk about hockey. It's like if you ask Connor McDavid a question that doesn't relate to hockey, he'll just tell you about hockey. Again, anyone in the chat got a preference as to where they want the first to go? Here we go. Yeah, as Pete Blackburn just tweeted out, draft lotteries with the generational talent at stake are the best. Just the next couple of decades of your fandom on the line. That's it. No big deal. Yep. So as they're just saying there on the coverage, Anaheim has 185 combinations in the lottery, Columbus 135, Chicago 115, and then 95 for San Jose, 85 for Montreal. So yeah, as they're mentioning as well, that second pick that I've got for Arizona is Ottawa's if it moves up into the top 5. So if Arizona wins with that pick goes back to Ottawa, and Ottawa have a top 5, and Arizona get Ottawa's next year's first. Okay. Also, remember, we won't know if a team moves up. We won't know if that was for the first or the second until we get to those picks. So we will not know. I mean, I like the idea that this all gets hyped up, and the first two picks, the first two picks that could move into first and second move up. Here we go. Hey, it's Bill Daly. I'm following along on Twitter as well. Nashville has jumped. No, they haven't. Okay. Calgary, Nashville, Pittsburgh, Sabres. Follow along on Twitter as well. Elliot Friedman's giving them as they come. No jumps yet. So no one's jumped yet. No one has jumped. I'm nervous as all hell now. Canucks at 11, Blues at 10. Dorian just looks like he's like, I'm just here for the lols. No jumps. So Vancouver is at 11, St. Louis is at 10, Red Wings are at 9, Caps are at 8. Again, I'm watching and following along on Twitter to get both updates. Still no jumps. Flyers, Coyotes, still no jumps. Still no jumps. We are at 6, no jumps. Habs are 5. Habs are 5. Whew. Whew. Sharks are 4. They didn't jump. They didn't lose. Sharks don't slide anywhere. Sharks stay at 4. I'm happy with that. It could have been really bad. That's Fantilli. That's a Fantilli, Leo, or Michkov for the Sharks. We have, it's either Anaheim, Columbus, or Chicago, and they're doing the whole big pause for the top 3 now. So we have everybody in order. Nobody has jumped up. The top 3 are the top 3. So for my benefit, San Jose are 4th. I'll take it. It's okay. Mike Greer showing no emotion. Oh, boy. So Kevin Weeks just said that Columbus dropped, but they haven't shown the card. So Kevin Weeks just said that Columbus dropped and it's either Chicago or Anaheim, but there's no card been shown. I think Kevin Weeks just screwed the draft. I think Kevin Weeks just screwed up the draft, everybody. He just announced that Columbus has slid and it's either Chicago or Anaheim. Yeah, I think Kevin Weeks just blew the top 2. Yeah. Well done, Kevin. Ooh, that's not going to go well. So apparently the Sportsnet broadcast glitched as well and fast forwarded and said that Columbus was 3rd. So apparently, yeah. So apparently what's happened is in Canada, Sportsnet glitched and went ahead, and ESPN have also gone ahead. This is not live. They recorded it. So from what we can work out, Columbus is 3rd. It's Chicago or Anaheim, but they haven't shown the card yet. They've screwed up. So the NHL has one job to get this right, and they've got it wrong. Um, yeah, yeah. They 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 might have just screwed up their own draft. How do you screw up your own draft lottery? That's amazing. So from what they're talking about, Columbus has dropped to third. It's either oh no, it's the two worst choices for me. It's Anaheim or Chicago. I've either got to see him all the time or he goes to a team that I don't believe deserves him. Oh no. This is not good. This is not good. I can't believe they've just screwed up their own draft lottery. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. We've had to sit through 20 minutes of montages and the only part that everyone cares about, and they've jumped ahead. Yeah, Columbus winning that last game, really not a good look now. Columbus winning that last game, not great. Oh wow. Oh wow. Yeah, and when I was reading out the Friedman stuff, apparently that was not our feed being slow. Friedman had them out before TV as well. So this is an absolute disaster for the NHL. Like, there's no, like, it's not even vaguely what they wanted out of this. And they're just pretending that it didn't happen. They're just pretending it didn't happen. Columbus is now confirmed at 3. All of the panels are just pretending it didn't happen. We are at now number 1. Damn it! Number 1, by the way, Chicago. I'll tell you straight up. Number 1 is Chicago. They just put it out on Twitter. So Chicago get number 1. Chicago. How the hell does Chicago land Connor Bedard? They learn nothing from this. They learn absolutely nothing from this. Bad behavior gets rewarded. Bad behavior gets rewarded. The most obvious tank, the worst behavior, and Chicago get first. Well, that's going to be completely unpopular. That is the worst possible outcome for this draft. That is the absolute worst. I'm not against your Chicago fans, but that is the worst outcome that they could have got for this draft. It's just ridiculous. That is ridiculous. So Chicago first, Anaheim second, Columbus third, San Jose fourth. Everyone else in the order as they were. So Columbus likely to take Adam Fantilli. I'm gutted. I can't believe that. I just this league. This league. What we really have to love about this is that Gary Bettman, who tells us that tanking doesn't happen in this league, now has to acknowledge the fact that a team that out and out tried to tank won. So, yeah, Gary will tell you again when they do the call with the commissioner before the Stanley Cup, he will again tell you that no team tanks. Nobody's trying to lose. Um, I just, no, I've got nothing. I've got absolutely nothing. Um, this is, yeah, it's a fantastic day for the NHL because now everyone can just acknowledge the fact that tanking works, and you know Gary can pretend it doesn't work, and a team that basically sold their entire roster to get Connor Bedard got him. So you know, it's just it's not rigged. Like I can tell you straight up, it's not rigged. But when things like that happen, it's very hard to not have people fall into the. Of course, of course. So that that's your draft. Just to put up again the top 5 predictions. So the projected top 5, just to sort of go here, is Bedard, Fantilli, Michkov, Carlson, Smith. So it depends on what teams think they want. Columbus, I think, will probably take Carlson, so I think it's probably going to be Michkov for the Sharks. I think we'll go center. Look, I'll be happy from a personal standpoint. I'll be happy with Michkov or Carlson. I'd anticipate again Fantilli's going to Anaheim, and then it's probably going to be Leo Carlson to Columbus. So, what are our thoughts? Put it in the chat. What are our thoughts on that? Oh, stop telling us what a great market and a great sports city, and it's great that he went there. It's not. It's an absolute joke. Oh dear. So, anyone got any other views? What do we think? Are we happy? I'm assuming that Jojo will probably be passed out on a floor at this point in time with joy. Probably. Jealousy is a curse. It's not so much jealousy. To be honest with you, I didn't really care where else Bedard went. I just don't really like the look. So I don't really like the look overall. But well done, Jojo. Enjoy the moment. I just, again, on a personal level, there, it's an organization that I think needed to learn some lessons, and they're not going to learn anything because they got what they wanted. So, sometimes doing the wrong thing gets you generational talents. I think, look, again, I think Chicago, they still need proof that Kyle Davidson can build a roster around him. I think that's an interesting point, is that I don't know if Kyle Davidson can necessarily do that. We're about to find out. Also, I'm waiting for all of the comments to suggest that Chicago are going to go back in for Patrick Kane again and bring him back and put him on a wing with Bedard, and you'll get all of that stuff about to come up too. Look, from my personal standpoint, I was terrified the Sharks are going to slide to 6th. The fact that we're 4th, like, we don't draft that high ever. So the fact that we're 4th is good, because I actually think that it's also going to help them not rush it. I mean, to be fair, Jojo, you put down that, Seth Jones saying it's hard to be a player wanting to. I mean, it's hard for Seth Jones to win. Period. When you look at those numbers, like that signing, I find that a bit ironic, because like the Seth Jones signing is almost like they didn't want to win to start with. He's not great. He's really not. One of the pieces they probably have to move to bring in the players to put around Bedard is Seth Jones. So there's a level of irony there. That it's going to be fascinating to see what Kyle Davidson now does around Bedard. Again, I kind of think Fantilli will be great. Like, I don't think there's going to be an issue in terms of Anaheim getting a player that's not really, really, really good. Adam Fantilli is going to be good. Bedard is generational, but look, Fantilli could develop into something really great. And Mitchkov and Carlson are excellent as well. It's a draft you want to be in the top 5 for, realistically. You want to be in the top 5 for this draft because it's a good top 5. So I think, to sort of sum it up, anyone else got any other views before we sort of start to clear out of this? If you've just come in, the Evil Empire, Chicago has got the first overall pick. Anaheim slid to number 2. Columbus is at number 3. I think the Coyotes need more before they get Bedard. I think adding Bedard into the Coyotes now isn't great for them. Like, it wouldn't be great for them now. I mean, obviously to jump them forward a bit, but there's so much. And you also need an ownership that's prepared to put the money in. And until they've got the new arena, they're not. Like, once they've got the new arena, they'll put money in. But until that arena is done, the Coyotes aren't spending. So the Coyotes will end up with, they'll get the 5th, 6th best player in the draft. And that's kind of a 50-50. So they'll end up with either Will Smith or Zach Benson. And Will Smith and Zach Benson are both really good. So I think that the Coyotes will get a player that will develop them at the right rate. It's a little bit like when I said about San Jose in the trade when they made the move with the Devils for Timo Meier. And I'm like, I was actually okay with what they got back because it's the players they got are at a development point that works with the Sharks' timetable of development. If you've got multiple parts of the team at different phases of development, you've got to make a call. And that's an expensive call if you're a general manager, because bringing in the players to accelerate costs you a lot of money. You don't want to hold back a player who's already there. So you've got to really go with the fast development, but that may stop the development around that. So it's a tricky thing for a general manager to get that. So it's not an easy thing. Kyle Davidson's about to learn really fast how hard building a winning team is, because he's now going to be expected to win games. Like, Chicago are going to be expected to win games, and they have a hell of a lot of things they need to do. They've got a lot of things they've got to replace. If we look at, before we go, we'll just have a quick look at the rosters. So Chicago have a fair whack of cap space, but they've got a lot to do. So, I mean, the good news is they've got a lot of players coming off the books. The bad news is they've got a lot of players coming off the books. The good news is the projected cap space is $41 million. So he's going to have cap. But in that, he needs to sign a goalie. He needs to sign a defensive core. And he needs to sign a top 6. So he really needs to replace the whole team for $41 million. Now, Bedard accelerates you because you don't need a center. Realistically, they can do a tase out Bedard in thing. But Chicago has to basically replace an entire roster. They've got $41 million in cap, but they've got to replace an entire roster. So Kyle Davidson's about to work out how hard his job is. In terms of, let's have a look at Columbus. Actually, we'll go to Anaheim first. Anaheim, the other interesting part about Anaheim is that Anaheim realistically have a lot of pieces ready to go. Like, think about it. The team that came last in the league this year is a team that features players like Trevor Zegras, Mason McTavish, Troy Terry. Like, they've got some really nice pieces on that roster. John Gibson had a really bad year. If Gibson has a bounce back year, you add Adam Fantilli to the mix, they'll be good. Like, they will be good again pretty fast. I wouldn't expect Anaheim to be terrible. And remember, Columbus at 3 expected to be good. They thought they were good. So Columbus has got... Look, Columbus's big, desperate need is at center. They've got Johnny Gaudreau. They've got Patrick Laine. Like, you've really got Jack Roslovic and Boone Jenner playing as your top line center. So they're going to go Leo Carlson because they need a top line center. So that leaves San Jose with the right winger. Unless they want to jump up and get a center. So this is the other point with San Jose is, do they want another winger? You know, that's a genuine question. Michkov is great. Do they go skill or do they go, like, again, their argument would be they've got Hurdle and Couture. I think San Jose will go wing because they've got Hurdle and Couture and Nico Sturm down the center. And they'll argue that they don't need the center at this point in time. And I think they'll probably go Michkov and try to suggest that they can add the best quality player in the draft for them. Any other questions, any other points, any other things people want to bring up about the lottery, apart from the fact that they botched it really badly and the league did a very bad job of that? I've not really seen, by the way, this much anger. I don't know if Taze is going to play. I mean, first of all, he'll have to take a massively reduced contract. I know they've got $41 million, but he's got to take a huge pay cut to come back. And I don't know if Jonathan Taze sticks around. I don't know how much he's going to play. Like, that injury has been so off and on. I mean, Jojo's probably got a better idea having watched him in and out in terms of what the future looks like for Taze in terms of the injury. I don't think he does. I think he's kind of in the headspace of going. Now, that might change if Patrick Kane decides to come back. Yeah, that's what I thought. As Jojo just said, Blackhawks have said they won't give him a new contract. He might offer to come back at a really reduced rate to mentor Bedard. That could be the only thing I could see. And again, it could decide if they decide they're going to try to bring Patrick Kane back on a reduced deal to play off his wing. That's a thing that could happen. I just don't think if you're Jonathan Taze that you come back. Like, here's my question. If you're Jonathan Taze, what's the benefit of returning? Like, you've won your cups. They're going to be better with Bedard. They're not going to win a cup this year. They're going to be better. You've won your cups. Your player's falling off. You've made all your money. I reckon he retires or he decides to go on a cup run with a team that he thinks wins now. You know, he goes on a cup run and tries to get one more somewhere else. If he comes back, I think he comes back in a mentoring role or that front office. Yeah. Mentoring role, depth role on the roster with a front office transition, either a bit like what they did in Toronto with Spezza, where, you know, it's like, we want to bring you back. We don't really want you on the ice. Special assistant to the general manager, something along those lines, maybe. that would make sense for Taze. I don't think, if I'm Jonathan Taze, I don't find the reason for playing again. I don't have it. I think that, look, the benefit of this, and look, I'm very much now on record as saying I hate the fact that the first overall pick went to Chicago, but the top 4 teams in the draft needed the players the most, and the top 4 teams in the draft are in the top 4, so they're getting the players. So, in that regard, the draft lottery worked, because you've got the teams that really need those picks getting those picks. Having said that, if you are a Chicago fan, if you would like to drink in the salty tears, go to Twitter, because Twitter is raging right now. If you are not a Blackhawks fan, it's not a case of, oh, they got the pick, oh well. If you are not a Blackhawks fan, you're angry. Yeah. As I said, my whole thing is more, someone pointed out, so this is a tweet that came in, and I'll put it out there as the last sort of thing we'll talk about. Arizona holds a pre-draft workout, loses a first-round pick. New Jersey signs Ilya Kovalchuk to a contract that was legal at the time, loses a first-round pick. Chicago covers up sexual abuse for a decade, Connor Bedard. I mean, one was a bad contract, one was pre-draft workouts, one is a massive cover-up. 2 of the 3 lost the first-round pick for it. The one that probably should have lost a first-round pick didn't. That's where I think a lot of anger is right now, is that they learned nothing. And they're not going to learn anything. So, yeah. Any other questions before we finish up? All right. So with that, thank you everyone for joining in. My heart didn't break into a million pieces because San Jose dropped. We're still 4th. Although I have lost a little bit more faith in the league, just in general. So thank you for joining us for this. We will be back. Brendan and myself will be back at the end of the second round to talk about what happened in the playoffs. Leafs fans, you might want to hear that one. And then obviously we will be back. We will do this again for the draft as well. But obviously the extra shift will be back at the end of the second round to go through the second round playoff series, talk about this a little bit more, and also predict the conference finals. So until then, we'll catch you all later.